Well, welcome to another Workshop Wednesday brought to you by schoolofbookkeeping.com, where it's casual conversations for serious workflows and nothing more casual than me just hanging out by my trailer here. This is how committed we are to bringing you a workshop live every week when we can.
Yes.
Right? I am literally outside of my trailer. It's already hitched up, ready to go, because they are very strict on thou shalt not. I think it's the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not be in your sight past 11:30 a.m.
That's
So
definitely a commandment.
yeah, so we're gonna try to be as brief as we can with our casual conversation today, so that we can, when we close out, we'll hop in and get out of here before
But
the
I
site
do have
police.
to introduce my new puppy.
Oh,
This is Ozzy,
how adorable.
and he's a mini golden doodle, and he's very cute.
And he's going to be well behaved.
Yep, he just stays on my lap. So, yep,
Well,
I, I, I wanted a lap dog.
and you got one. Well, fantastic. So, because we have a lot to kind of unpack here, we might actually do the demonstration, because obviously I don't have my dual monitors and everything ready to go to share what it is that we're going to be talking about when it comes to multi-currency, PayPal, e-commerce. Kind of unpacking that, and then of course there's a lot of news. I just saw the article or the news today that Intuit is laying off 10% of its workforce,
I didn't see that.
because of its investment in AI. They do this regularly, right? I was impacted by such a thing. My wife also worked at Intuit. She was impacted by it's a July, it's a fourth quarter for them. So the end of July is the end of their fiscal year. So they make a lot of these announcements during the month of July. So it's common. And
Uh-huh.
what is uncommon about Intuit's layoff practices is that rather than traditional companies, they will look at their workforce, and rather than um, lay them off, they'll look. Traditional company will say, "Well, we like you. Would you rather do this instead?" Or
Mm,
maybe realign work with workers. But Intuit takes a different stance on that, and they'll release the workers that they do a reorganizational structuring, right?
right.
And then they'll eliminate the positions, but then oftentimes they'll hire back, right? And so the article that I read earlier this morning was talking about, they plan on rehiring the 1,800 jobs that they're letting go. They're just a different position. And
Mm.
I think the logic, if there is one, the
Yeah, 'cause
logic
I'm
of
not.
this,
I'm not seeing any logic, so I'm listening
the
very
lot
carefully.
the logic is that they can um, get the talent that they're looking for, right?
Mhm.
Rather than trying to play, well, we think you would be good doing this, they would rather eliminate the position and allow those people to apply for the
Yeah,
positions that they feel like they would be best suited for.
but then also
Um,
take in other candidates' applications.
right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So they're restructuring, of course, because of the impending AI
Hmm.
tsunami, and they've already invested a lot of uh, dollars and time and energy into their generative AI. So they're doubling down on that with the people that can
Hmm.
help them do that. So that may not be the talent that they currently have. It may, right? So
Yeah.
they'll find that out. So they would rather uh, recycle old employees. I always said that Intuit was a very green company because they recycle people. They call it a revolving door, because they take very good care of people as they let them go, but they also make it possible for them to come back. Um, so that's kind of the chit chat that I wanted to kind of talk about with regards to that. which is, of
When
course,
did they
interrupted.
release that announcement, Dan?
I saw it early this morning.
Oh, you did. Oh,
Michelle,
yeah. See, that's part of the problem is this morning we had our meeting and then I'm
mm,
wrapped up in an implementation and then now we
right,
have this. So I haven't looked at anything. No email or
yeah,
nothing. Yeah.
yeah. So that's likely, but don't feel bad for the folks. I mean, my heart does go out to them because they are real people, and it's never a great news. Especially with I've been involved with a few restructurings, and these are real people and they
Yeah.
have real lives and those types of things. But Intuit does take really good care of the people that are impacted. So they have, something to fall onto, and those types of
No.
things. And also keep the door open so that they can come back, right? So
Yeah, that is good
even
because, not all major corporations do that. And
right.
yeah, that's always not, I mean, it's more of an inconvenience for anything because then, oh, okay, you've been let go. Oh, great. Now I found another job and now I'm settled in
Yeah.
that. And now, oh, here's an invite to potentially go back. That's not,
Hmm.
that doesn't put anybody in a good position.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the first time I was impacted was in 2008. Right before the big recession, they they laid off several hundred people, but they also opened up several positions. They gave us 2 months notice,
Yeah.
and because of the big restructuring, I never left. I never had to turn in my badge. I found another position
Yeah.
before the end date actually occurred. So hopefully that's going on as well, but there's time will tell. The second time I would have volunteered, right? So I
Yeah.
was ready to go.
Well, I mean,
So
and now I think, that it's probably turned out to be a blessing in disguise, right? Where now, you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, and,
yeah.
and yeah, I know you're really into AI and so am I. And, that's, we can sort of stay on the edge of,
Hmm.
everything that's coming, from a different perspective. And so it's really cool and exciting, actually.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see, what they have coming. And, there's just so many other companies now in the mix that,
Hmm.
that I hate to say it, but not gonna
Hmm.
completely marry myself to Intuit. And so,
Right.
I am really interested in seeing what all these other companies come up with, and I think it's a really exciting time to be
Hmm.
an accounting firm owner and really understand what's going on with
Yeah.
AI. I think.
Yeah. We just posted a blog on School of Bookkeeping about the Intuit technology survey that was just released as well. And a vast majority, I think it's like 94%. You got to check out our blog. Um, because I don't have it up handy here. Obviously, I am little
Well,
little unprepared for that.
I'll
Um,
definitely check it out and then I'll repost
but
it.
but I think it's like 94% of accounting firms are going to make an investment in technology in the coming year, and just about the same amount um, are are feeling that if they don't, they are going to be essentially swallowed up by the coming wave so it's got to invest in technology and or find something else to do is really
Yeah, I mean,
what
and like the
what it
quote
boils.
that I think I said last week that I had heard at Scaling New Heights was, accounting professionals' jobs aren't going to be taken over by AI. They're going to be
Mhm.
taken over by other firms that understand and utilize
Yeah.
AI.
Right.
So,
Right.
and part of it is I also see it as then I'm really excited and super into automation and AI and technology. And then there's people that
Hmm.
are sort of doing it reluctantly. So,
Yeah.
I happen to be one of those people that I really love it. And, I can't wait to see actually where it takes my firm. And
Right.
it's pretty cool.
And our scheduled topic of what we were supposed to be talking about with multi-currency, PayPal, and e-commerce, this is a prime example of where uh, technology and integrations um, I don't know what the best way to describe it is, but they really have to understand the whole end-to-end workflow, and oftentimes one of those parties does not, right?
Yes.
And that's where accounting, bookkeeping professionals can really lean into being that source of knowledge and resource for their clients when they really grasp and understand it. And as we were preparing for the topic that we're going to be talking about, I was looking for resources that were out there, and from the sales side of things, I didn't find any. And the challenge is like, how do you search for these things, right? And there's a lot of terms that have dual meaning, right? So,
Hmm.
like, if you just search for multi-currency, PayPal, right? What I was finding was there was a lot of resources and some really good ones about multi-currency as it deals with recording expenses, but there really wasn't anything when it comes to multi-currency and dealing with sales, right?
Yeah.
Um, and
Or
and part of the challenge,
systems, really.
yeah,
Systems. Yeah.
systems in place to be able to do that. And um, do you have, Rachel? Do you have a smattering of clients that deal with sales in different currencies? Not just with
No.
PayPal, but just
Um,
they take
well,
money
yes.
and sell to international customers.
Yes, and I do in Shopify. So Shopify has something called, uh-oh, am I breaking up?
Nope,
I'm
not
not
yet.
freezing. Okay. Shopify has something called Shopify Markets. So what that is Shopify's ability to have your business here in the United States, but sell around the world. So Shopify Markets is the product, and that basically allows you to market it in with a customer facing website in that country. Let's say Greece in Greek, and then they can buy with the Greek dollar online, and then it converts it, and everything comes in US dollar. So one thing that I loved hearing Allison and um, Jason
Jason.
talk about a couple weeks ago when they were here is they put it in a term that really helped me, and what I really like, and it's going to stick with me, is basically in this sort of world of integration, and we're dealing with sending information from one place to the next, we really have to think about things in, is this system collecting data or is this system generating data? Well, I just said data and data, so I don't know.
At at
um
least you didn't say it like the New Englanders who had that extra R at the end,
Datter,
dater.
yeah, yeah. And I know people that speak that way. It makes me laugh.
Mhm.
But anyway, yes. So now a lot of times, because our clients are doing stuff in all kinds of other platforms, we are really using QBO as a data collection bucket and making sure that everything is communicating there correctly, and all of the places are going, all the things are going to all the places that it needs to. And then not necessarily going into QuickBooks and then using the sales tax center or using the multi-currency feature in it, but we're doing all those things ahead of time and then dumping all the data and collecting it for the general ledger use for creating financial statements. That's
Right.
literally the reason to use it. So we're dealing with a client right now that's a manufacturer in Los Angeles, but she imports half of her raw materials from, and also co-packing and private labeling stuff directly from Italy. So all of her purchasing is in euro. So everything goes in the system in euro, converts instantly to the US dollar, syncs everything to QBO as US dollar. So if it did not have that function, do you know how long it would take us to do these conversions line
Yeah.
by line by line? I mean, it is so complicated. And just to be able to be using a system that converts it just like that, it shows you the amount in US dollar, shows you the amount in euro. And then to bring it back to Allison and Jason, I had another client that, yes, was selling, had a Shopify store in Canada, and an Amazon store in Canada. And so all of the transactions were Canadian dollar. It wasn't doing a conversion into QBO. So their the bookkeep connection will actually convert it. And then it will post to QBO in US dollar and then match with the payout that's coming in
Right.
through their bank in US dollar. So I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of different cool features that are very exciting about that'll do these processes
Right.
automated, but it still doesn't change the fact that it can get really complicated. And so, like you were just saying, my definition of advisory is really kind of this world now of these external apps, what will convert the currency correctly, what will bring the sales in correctly,
Mhm.
when we're talking about moving data from somewhere
Right.
else into QuickBooks. And so that's an incredible opportunity to be able to
Right.
provide advisory and then also connect with other folks that are kind of doing the same thing. And then we can share our knowledge. So
Right.
that's become really big.
Yeah. So, I mean, to what you just said, right? If you're just solely selling on Shopify and you are selling internationally on Shopify and you're collecting through Shopify payments,
Yes, that's what I
all
meant to
all
say. Yeah.
all of that is done through Shopify, right?
Yep.
And and
Done
and,
for
and
you.
everything will come in to your Shopify payments and payouts in US dollars.
Yep.
Now, you have to trust,
Yeah.
right? Uh, that their exchange rate is the real exchange rate. I mean, they will list that on the sale, so that you know what the exchange rate was. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you would have used or what QuickBooks would use or
Right.
any other thing doing the foreign currency exchange, but everything will be in US dollars. It will show up in your payout. End of story, right? PayPal gets wonky, I guess is the is the best
Yeah.
way to describe it, because they will have various foreign currency, uh, basically sub accounts of your PayPal account in each currency. And what happens when you so in this situation where they're selling on Shopify, but they're using PayPal as the payment method, and the customer is a foreign customer outside of the U.S., they will pay in PayPal using their PayPal account in their currency,
Yep.
which will ultimately come into the recipient's PayPal account in that currency,
It sure will.
right? So, British pounds, right? So what'll ultimately happen, and you'll see it on the statement, and you were showing it when we were looking at reconciling PayPal, a couple weeks ago, that you will see the PayPal USD, and then you will see the PayPal GBR, or Great
Yes.
Britain pound, or whatever the
Yeah.
whatever it turns out to be, or EUR
Yep.
for euro, or CAD for Canadian dollar, right? So you'll see all these extra accounts, and they are legitimately separate bank accounts to PayPal.
Yeah. Yeah. And so one thing that we learned is, oh shoot, if those don't get converted over to US dollar and then
Right,
swept out, that'll hold a balance on your
right,
balance sheet of that foreign currency. And so we've sort of realized, oh, let's not do that now. And by the way, so your US dollar, you can put that on auto transfer into
yes,
a checking account, but you can't do that with the foreign currency.
right,
You have to manually go in there and you have to convert the currency into US dollar first.
right,
And then if you have your US currency balance on auto sweep, it'll sweep that over.
right,
But you got to do that manually. And we've definitely paid the price for not doing that
yeah,
because then it holds that amount every single
right.
month and it's a total pain.
So therein lies the challenge, right? The Shopify will show the sale in US dollars, but the payout from PayPal
Yes.
is now in the foreign currency. right?
Yeah.
So now trying to reconcile those two, because now you have, in my client's case, they sell stuff for $200. It's now, British pounds or whatever it is two shows up as 270 US dollars, which when I was trying to, get caught up to speed with this client, I was like, wait a minute, I thought you sold everything at 199. Like, where did this sale of
Yeah.
$200 comes in? And then come to find out, oh, it was someone from Great Britain, and then that's the US dollar conversion of that. So now I can't tell, where everything is, whether it's sold on Amazon, because he marks it up on Amazon. He calls it the Jeff Bezos retirement fund pricing, uh, as opposed to when he sells on Shopify.
Oh my God.
But I could tell, okay, well, this sale was from Amazon. This sale was from, because he only sells one thing, so that was even better.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but then you get these random amounts of 275 or 250. I'm like, oh my goodness. So what, to your point, that's what happens is the PayPal puts it in that foreign currency and it stays there until someone does something with it, right? So without something like Bookkeep, in the mix here, you would want to turn on multi-currency, which is why we talked about,
Right,
the
right. So that way when the actual
functionality.
payout does come through, yeah.
You can bring it in and reconcile that, and then whenever you do that sweep, there's a foreign currency exchange at that point, and then you can do the transfer of the PayPal euro, for example, to US dollar, and you can keep that in alignment so that when the money actually gets deposited, then that will come in appropriately, right? But the
Yeah, and
the
I have to,
Shopify sale will be in US dollars as opposed to the actual dollar amount. So
yeah, exactly.
it
Now, I have to point out something that just like drives me cuckoo crazy. Now, what we're talking about is when, and I always usually use the example of Shopify because I am a Shopify partner and I have a lot of clients in Shopify. My own websites in Shopify, and I sell accounting merch and things like that. But now, when your client is using Shopify payments, they can't, let's say your website is based in the US and somebody in Canada is buying off of your website and they're entering it in their Canadian dollar, and you have Shopify payments turned on as your method of customer paying, not PayPal, just Shopify payments, and you accept that Canadian currency, it'll convert it and go into Shopify payments
right.
payout, no problemo.
Yeah.
But that's only letting your customer pay by Visa or MasterCard or Amex. Now,
Hmm.
with the it's not really a problem for them, but it's the problem is for us, is when they say that's not good enough. I want
Right.
my clients to be able to pay by PayPal, and then when they go into PayPal, then they can pay in their home currency.
Right.
That's really what it translates to customer facing. I wanted to point that out
Yeah.
because really, if you're just using Shopify payments as a store owner, and all of your customers are paying through Shopify payments, and like I said, all that means is with a Visa, a MasterCard, or Amex, that or Apple Pay or any of the other things that mean Shopify payments. That is no problem. Everything's converted. But the second they decide that they want to turn on PayPal, it defaults to you can only pay in US dollar. But what they do is they go into their PayPal settings and they turn on accept multi-currency. That's what does it. Now,
Mm,
we realized that we had clients that were going in and doing that, but then without telling us. And I was like, what the
right.
heck is this? What are these foreign amounts? Well, now I know. So that's why I usually always have my clients now in the list of things I require them to tell me when they make a
Yep.
change. Make sure you let me know if number one, you're adding PayPal onto your
Hmm.
Shopify as a payment method. And then better yet, make sure you let me know if you're enabling that foreign currency ability. Because what that means is I want my clients not to just have the ability of pay me foreign through Visa MasterCard, but I want them to be able to pay me foreign when they check PayPal. And so really all that's doing is I want to collect my money all the ways, which is great, but that needs to be communicated to us.
Right.
So we know
So it's not surprising.
to do that accounting underneath, because otherwise it can be a pain. So
Right.
yeah.
And another nuance with foreign currency and PayPal is when you are giving money back, you're returning money, and you're doing it via PayPal or via PayPal. I don't know which one. Is it niche or niche? Via. If you're doing it through through PayPal, PayPal will prefer to use a PayPal balance first,
Yes.
right? So this nuance of what you were saying of like with a foreign currency, that will sit there and it is technically a PayPal balance until someone manually puts it in there.
Yeah.
But I've seen in this same client's case, they returned, did a return for through PayPal because that's how they paid, and the only source of funds because they automatically sweep the U.S. dollar funds, so there was no funds in the U.S. dollar, but they didn't know that they had funds sitting in pounds or euros. PayPal did. So what PayPal does for their $199 return is they take it out of the foreign currency balance, which requires a foreign currency exchange to do that. So I was
Yes.
seeing these random amounts being moved from the foreign currency one. I'm like, wait a minute, you didn't give the foreign currency customer a refund. You gave a U.S. customer a refund, but through PayPal.
Oh, because that's
That
the only thing that was available.
right, right.
Yeah.
So rather than pull it from the bank account, which is tied to the U.S. dollar, they pull it from the available balance, which just happened to be the foreign currency, which
Oh
might might
man.
might be more advantageous for PayPal to do that. I don't know because again, PayPal's statement says nothing about the exchange rate that was used.
Right. That's what you were talking about before in this example. I didn't quite get it when you were saying it
Yeah,
before, but now I get that. Yeah, that's a
I just
pain.
have to
And then
keep
by the
repeating
way,
myself, and eventually you'll catch on.
yeah, and then by the way, so this one client I have, they collect lots of different foreign currencies. So they have Singapore
Mm,
dollar, Australian dollar, euro, Canada, blah, 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 blah. So let's just say they've depleted their PayPal US and then they need to issue a refund for some US customer, or let's say to an Australian dollar customer, it's not necessarily going to pull it from the Australian balance. It may pull it from the top one, which
right,
is British pound. So
right,
what is it that's prompting them to pick that and not that? If they're not going to say this client's in Australian dollar, we want to pull the same currency. Are they thinking we're going to do whichever one is cheapest for us in transaction fee?
who knows? I'm sure that's hidden very discreetly under the terms of service, uh,
Yeah.
rules and regulations of what it is that would
Yeah.
happen. And I would be surprised if there actually is a setting to specifically say what where to pull that from.
I haven't
Um,
seen any.
and this is one of those examples of you know uh, functionality doesn't necessarily tie to the accounting of all of that, right?
Yeah.
Like they're not truly concerned, like Shopify, PayPal, they're not really concerned about, the how this is all gonna settle out with the dust. But we are, right?
Yeah.
So that's where things get as as I said, this could actually be an opportunity, right? So really understanding the nuances of all of this and being able to guide your client through this process is a really valuable service that you can offer to your customers as that trusted advisor when you understand actually what's going on.
Yeah, that's so true, because a lot of them don't necessarily even want to be guided through it. They're just
Yeah,
like, I hate
take
PayPal.
it off my plate.
They're like, I hate PayPal, but I like money. You do
Right.
it.
Exactly. So we are 2 minutes past our our time to leave here. So
Okay,
I'm
we'll let
waiting
you go.
waiting
We
for
don't
the
want you to
site
get arrested by the RV
the site
police.
police. Exactly. So we will show a little more of this next week when we can when I'm actually stationary. And we hope you all have a great week, and we'll see you next time on the Workshop Wednesday. If I could find the outro video. There it is.